Hi, this is Books with Brushu. I'm Jordan. I like to drink coffee and read books. And today we are here for my January reading wrap up. So today I will be talking about all of the books that I read in the month of January. First month of the year, and it was a pretty good one. I hope you all are having a fabulous day. It is rather cold here in Georgia. I do have a fire going. And she is noisy. She is noisy today. That's what I've got going on over there. I'm obviously still in my living room filming in front of my Christmas trees because yes, they are still up. However, since it's Valentine's Day in like 2 weeks, my pink tree fits in perfectly. We're keeping that up. I like the ambiance. I've got everything decorated for Valentine's Day. So let's go ahead and talk about all of the books that I read in January. All right, so let's jump into some stats to start us off with. I read 11 books in January, 4 audiobooks, 3 physical books, and 4 Kindle books. With an average rating of 4.3 stars, so really a pretty good average rating for 11 books. The total number of pages I read, 3,283. So not my highest, but also not my lowest. Pretty average for me. I have read 11% of my yearly reading goal as the first month. You know, still 11%. Now for the genres that I read. This list is quite lengthy. I read a multitude of different genres. I was all over the place in the month of January. So I read 2 romance books, 1 paranormal romance, 2 fantasies, 1 historical fiction, 1 dystopian, 1 sci-fi, 1 YA romance, 1 dark romance, and 1 autobiography. Couldn't that list of genres be any longer? I really hope my sister watches this. Let's start off with the books that I picked for my January TBR that I did not get to, because there are 2 of those. 4 audiobooks. I did not get to Lilac Girls. That's mostly my fault. I had the hold placed at the library, and now at the library, if the hold is available to check out and you aren't ready for it yet, you can suspend your hold. So Lilac Girls was suspended. I wasn't paying close enough attention to where I was in my previous book, so I didn't unsuspend it early enough. And so by the time I had waited around a day and a half, I just started a different book because I was tired of waiting around for Lilac Girls to come in. And then by the time I started that other book, of course, Lilac Girls became available. I did not get to it in the month of January. Then for physical books, I did not get to our 100 years of books for the year 1989, which was Joy Luck Club. I also did not get to that one. That I just ran out of time. I just ran out of time and didn't get to it. So those are the 2 from my January Spinner Wheel TBR that I did not get to. Let's talk about all of the books that I read and books that I DNF'd. I picked out of my mug Savannah Breeze, which is this book by Mary Kay Andrews. I realized in that video that this is actually the 2nd book in a series. So I was going to borrow the first book in the series from the library. Well, after I sat there and thought about it, I decided I didn't care about these books. The premise didn't sound interesting to me. I just don't, it's like a cozy mystery sort of kind of. I just don't care. I just don't care. So I decided to just not even bother reading that book, thus reading this book. And I'm deciding to unhaul both of the books that I have by Mary Kay Andrews because I just don't care anymore. Yes, they do have really cute covers, but I don't care. I'm not interested in these stories. So I'm just unhauling both of these books and getting this mug pick out of the jar, donezo. Should we just talk about all my DNFs right up front? I guess, like do some categories. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into my next DNF. So I did start Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. I did not realize that this was a Groundhog Day book. I thought it was about a mother who saw her son murder somebody and she was trying to figure out why. Well, her trying to figure out why is that she keeps living the same day over, basically the same day over and over again. She keeps going back one day in time. So it's like day -1, day -2, day -3. So she keeps going further and further back in time, like every time she falls asleep. And so it's real repetitive because the things that she did the previous day, she has to do again because they haven't happened yet because it's now day -2. So everything she did at day -1 hasn't happened yet. So she has to redo it, and it just was so repetitive. I listened to a couple of hours of this book. I don't remember how far along I was, but I don't like Groundhog Day books. They drive me nuts because they're so repetitive, and I'm tired of hearing about the same thing over and over again. So I DNF'd Wrong Place, but Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister because I just didn't care. Let's talk about a book that, yes, I DNF'd, but I counted it towards my number of books that I read. And this sucks. This sucks. So that would be Wicked Charms by Janet Evanovich. I was reading this book and I was thoroughly enjoying it. I love this author's writing. I love her characters. It's just a silly, goofy time. I was reading this book. I was enjoying it. But I was under the impression that this is the last book of the trilogy. And it's not very long. I was reading through it and I'm like, man, there are a lot of obstacles and a lot of things for them to find and solve by the end of this book. And there's only like 200 more pages left. In these books, Lizzie and Diesel are trying to find these stones. In the first book, they find 1 stone. In the second book, they find 1 stone. And there are 7 total, 8 total, something like that, 7 or 8. They're looking for the rest of these stones. And in order to find these stones in this book, they need this coin to use with this map to like decipher this map. Well, apparently the previous owner of this coin broke it into 8 pieces. And within the first, I don't know, 75 pages or so, they had found 1 of the 8 pieces of the coin. And then the coin, they needed all 8 pieces to use it for the map, and the map was gonna lead them to the 1 stone. Well, then they only have 3 stones total. And there are like 7. It made me think, well, there's no way they're gonna find 5 stones in this book, plus all 8 pieces of this coin. Like, that's just not how this author writes. So I did a little research. Turns out, apparently, according to the internet, the publishers cut this series. So this is an unfinished series. So in my mind, it's supposed to be like a 7 or 8 book series, and they find 1 stone in each book. I decided, well, I'm barely into this. It was less than 100 pages. I'm barely into this. I don't want to get to the end of this book and be so extremely disappointed that there's a cliffhanger and there's never going to be an ending to this series. Like, why go through all that? I decided to DNF this book because it's an unfinished series and I didn't know that. If I would have known that, I would have just gotten rid of this book years and years and years ago. But I didn't know that. Now I do, and I'm annoyed about it, but that's besides the point. So this is another book that I DNF'd. And that's purely because it's an unfinished series. I'm not here to get involved in unfinished series. I've already got too many of those on my list that the authors have like 1 or 2 more books left to write and they just never have. That's why I don't want to continue reading Game of Thrones or whatever it's actually called. Let's talk about the books that I actually did read in January. And we're gonna start off with Alchemized by Sen-Lin Yu. I read a majority of this book in December. Almost 1,000 page book. I read 600 or 700 pages in December and I finished it up in January. Technically, I finished this book in January, but really December. Okay, the fire has been stoked. Let's talk about Alchemized. I read Manacled in, I believe, March last year. So I read both the fanfic and the traditionally published version of this book in 2025. And when I tell you that I love this book so much, I cannot stop thinking about it. Both Manacled I couldn't stop thinking about either. And now Alchemized I can't stop thinking about. This book was so good. They're both so long, but this book was so worth it. It's heart-wrenching, dark, and broody, manipulative, addictive. It's so good. I mean, it's so good. You go through the emotions. The shit goes down in this book. And it's just so good. It's so worth it. It is so worth it. I know it's long, but it's so worth it. reading both Manacled and Alchemized is worth it because there's enough that's different. I knew how the book ended, obviously. I knew how it ended. But there were still parts in between that are different, that didn't happen in Manacled. Things are different, and the world is different, and in this book, they're necromancers instead of wizards. You have these undead, and you have the High Necromancer, who is Moros, and he brings people back from the dead and gives these people, they're basically immortals. They can't die. They also bring back people from the dead, and they're like their slaves. They're called necrothralls. And there's all different types of kind of magic in this world. It's a little bit confusing, but you get it. You start to understand as you keep reading. You have the dark side and the light side. You have the undead and the necromancers. You have the resistance and then the necromancers. And Luke Holdfast is the leader of the resistance. He is like a god, whatever. He can control fire. And you have the paladins who protect him. They're like his personal bodyguards and warriors. And they're fighting against these necrothralls. And Helena, she is a healer. And she has this special ability that the resistance has in the past demonized, because they can also bring back people from the dead. They can heal people with their powers. They always thought that these types of people, Vivimancers, were bad. Helena is a Vivimancer, and she has been trained, but also is on a tight leash, basically, and not treated very well, even though she is literally giving her life to heal these people, to heal the resistance. She is still looked down upon. Well, her side, the resistance, takes advantage of her throughout this entire book. They send her on this mission to get information out of Cain Farron, who is an undead. He's a necromancer. He has information on the dark side, and he's giving this information to the resistance through Helena. And her job is to basically seduce him so that he's fully on their side and they can continue to abuse him and use him and all of these things. Obviously, there's more to the story. Obviously, it's so good. It is so, so good. I gave Alchemized 5 stars. It was so good. I cannot stop thinking about it. Then I read My Next Breath by Jeremy Renner. This is a memoir about when he got in his accident. Jeremy Renner has this cabin up in, I think in Nevada or Utah, up in the mountains. And there was a really bad snowstorm. On New Year's Day, him and his nephew and some of his buddies who were up there were out clearing snow. Through some series of events, I believe it was like a snow plow thing. I think it was called a Hellcat, something like that. It ran over him and crushed him. This memoir walks you through exactly what happened, exactly what he was thinking when all of this was happening. After that machine finished driving over him, his nephew coming over to him, going to get help coming, and then waiting for the medevac, the helicopter, and the ambulance to get up the mountain to where they're at. What he's thinking this whole time, and how he has to manually think about every breath that he takes. These people who help him through this and get him to the hospital, and then his recovery from that. He walks through every detail. And I listened to the audiobook, and you get in the audiobook the actual 911 calls where you can hear Jeremy Renner in the background moaning and groaning, because that was how he knew that he was actually breathing, is as he was exhaling, he would groan so that he would know that he was actually breathing. And you can hear him in this 911 call. You can hear the panic in everyone else's voice as the 911 operator is walking them through all of these things. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense. The first part of the book where the actual accident is happening and the length of time it takes for emergency services to get to him, it's a long, long time. And I'm sure for him, seemed like a lifetime of him laying there in immense physical pain, manually telling his body to breathe in and out, forcing the air in and out of his lungs. It was Such a good book, very reflective on how blessed we are in our lives, that, at least me, that I've never gone through anything like that. I gave My Next Breath 4.75 stars. Okay, so these next couple books I'm not gonna talk about too much because they are in a seasonal winter reading vlog that I did, and I will link that in the description down below so you can watch that and hear more of my thoughts on these books, but I will go over them briefly here. So I then read Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. This book is about two women, they're sisters, and their mother and their father. Father, at the very beginning of the book, passes away, and his last wish was for his wife, the mother, to tell the girls this entire fairy tale. So when the girls were younger, their mom would tell them this fairy tale about a prince and a young girl who fell in love. This was really the only time the girls had any connection with their mother. Their mother was very distant. She basically acted like she didn't love her daughters. When they were growing up, plead for her attention, and she just would not give it to them. There's a reason for this. And this fairy tale explains why. Because of course, this fairy tale isn't an actual fairy tale. It is the story of her life. All of the things that she went through during World War II in Stalingrad in Russia, and all the immense pain and heartache and turmoil that she went through while her family was living in Stalingrad during the siege in World War II in the middle of fucking winter. It's a lot. It's a lot. Just, and the ending, the ending is heart-wrenching. Like, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Again, another great Kristen Hanna book. Another great story that pulls at your heart, that really makes you think about how good we have it in this life. That we have the luxuries that we do, honestly. At least here in the United States. I gave The Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna 4.5 stars. It was so, so good. This fire's giving me a run for my money today. My back hurts. Then y'all, the next book I read, I cannot stop thinking about it. It's been like 2 weeks since I finished it. Every day, I am thinking about this book. Along with Alchemized, which as soon as I finished Alchemized and this next book, I wanted to pick it up and read it again. That's how much I absolutely loved it. And that book is Credence by Penelope Douglas. When I tell you that this book had me in a chokehold, it's almost 500 pages and I finished it in like 3 or 4 days. While I was on vacation. I go in depth talking about this book in my winter reading vlog. I devoured this book. I absolutely devoured it. It was so good. Like, I cannot stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about it. It was so good. It was so fucking good. You're introduced to our main female character, Tiernan. The first scene is her parents have committed suicide. And we learn that they did not leave their daughter a letter. They didn't even consider her in any of this. That apparently her dad had cancer and was dying. Didn't tell her. And her mother, instead of staying around to take care of their daughter, committed suicide with the husband so that they could be together forever because she didn't want to live without him. And instead left their 17-year-old daughter alone while she was home for summer break, and she would have been gone at boarding school in like a week or two. So they just had to wait a week or two, and she wouldn't have been the one at the house who found them dead in their bed. Her whole life they didn't pay attention to her. It was like they had a kid because they felt obligated and they felt like they should have kids because that's what you're supposed to do. She had real shitty parents. That's the first scene of the book. Later that night, she gets a call from her dad's stepbrother. So her uncle, not by blood, stepbrother. And he says, hey, I got a call from your parents' lawyer and they have listed me as your guardian. But since you're almost 18, I think she was gonna be 18 in like 8 or 10 weeks, something like that. I don't want anything from you. I'm not gonna force you to move. I'm not gonna force you to do anything. But if you want, you can come live with me and my 2 boys in his house in Colorado. If you want, here's a plane ticket for like tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Here's a plane ticket and you can come up and you can see us and you can decide if you want to stay here or not. Well, on a whim, she decides, why the heck not? Why do I want to be alone in this house, this dead house? Why not? I'll go and visit this family that she's never met before. Her dad and his stepbrother did not like each other. So she didn't grow up with these cousins of hers or this uncle of hers at all. So she packs up her stuff and goes out to Colorado, and he picks her up from the airport. Well, he's quite young, just... Him and his two boys, they're in their early 20s. The boys are in their early 20s and he's in his early 40s-ish. They live high up a mountain in Colorado. So as soon as the snow starts, they get trapped up there for the entire winter. So let's say like mid to end November through April, that they're trapped in this house on their property together, and they can't go into town because the roads are completely undrivable. She meets Jake, her uncle, and then Noah, her cousin. And Caleb is nowhere to be found. She doesn't know where he's at. She gets used to Jake and Noah and working around this property, taking care of the animals, fixing up the barn, fixing up the house. The boys also soup up motorcycles from motocross, repair and all that stuff. So that's like how they make their money, is they soup up these bikes. Noah also rides. She's introduced to this lifestyle, and Noah and his friends who all ride motocross. It's basically like a day-to-day, like wake up super early, do all the chores that are around the house, cook food, clean, take care of the animals, blah, 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 and also prepare for this long winter where they can't leave the house. She's slowly getting to know these men who haven't had a woman around long term, like ever. These men also have a rotation of women in and out of this house. Like one morning, Tiernan wakes up to go to the singular bathroom in this house, which I thought was weird. Like, yeah, so you built your own house with all these nice bedrooms and stuff, and you only built one bathroom? Like, that's dumb. So anyway, she wakes up one morning to obviously go to the bathroom, and there's some woman in the shower, like naked, standing in the bathroom, shower, whatever. And she's like, whoa, like, who the fuck are you? Where did you come from? And the girl is also like, who the fuck are you? Where did you come from? Women just show up to this house in the middle of the night to fuck these dudes. Like, they don't even have to go anywhere. The women just show up at their house. There is a rotation of women in and out of this house. And Tiernan's like, what is going on? Things progress. Tiernan meets Caleb. Caleb is interesting. Caleb doesn't speak. Caleb doesn't speak. We find out why at the very end, or towards the end. It's a wild ride. It's definitely a wild ride. Definitely look into trigger warnings. Definitely read what this book is about before you go ahead and pick it up, because you might not like some of the stuff that happens in there. Just saying. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave Credence 5 stars. I cannot stop thinking about it. So, and obviously I talked more about it than I needed to, but that's okay because I liked it so much. After Credence, I strayed a little bit from my TBR. I was feeling in a London Prep mood. So I decided to pick up London Prep Book 7, which is The Choice by Gillian Dodd. Now, I read book number 6, The Country House, in December. Loved it again. I wanted to get back in this world because some things are happening. Some things are happening and I wanted to know the answer, and I wanted to know what was going on. I picked up The Choice and absolutely devoured this book. I think I finished it in like 3 days. So I powered through this book. Now, since it's book number 7, I'm not going to talk too much about it here. This book is about Mallory. She's a foreign exchange student from the US. She goes to London, and it's supposed to only be for a couple of weeks. She meets a lot of people. Her friends are boys because, of course, girls don't like her. She's a new student, and the girls are all jealous, so you know how that is. Anyway, it's high school drama. A bunch of nonsense happens, teenage stuff. She ends up staying in London. This is just more about her time in London and the stuff that's happening over there, like Spring Breaker or something like that. I love this series. I thoroughly enjoy it. I gave The Choice by Gillian Dodd 4.5 stars because I ate it up. It was so good. Then I listened on audio to Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Now, This is the sci-fi book that I read this month. This book is trippy. This book is trippy. It reminds me of Marvel. So if you watch Marvel and you understand the multiverse, that is what this book is about. It's about the multiverse. So this man created this machine that you go into this machine, you inject this drug, and basically you have an infinite amount of doors that you can walk through and go to a different world. It's a multiverse. And every time you walk through a door, that's a choice you make. So it makes another branch. So if you've seen Loki, the TV show with Loki, and how all those branches that were created, that was exactly what was happening in my mind in this book. So if you've seen Marvel, this book will make more sense to you because you've already been introduced to the multiverse and that kind of thing. That's exactly what this book was. It was this man, he gets attacked, he doesn't know why, and he ends up in this place that he's never been. And he's trying to get back to his world. And it was good, y'all. It was good. It was trippy. It was interesting. I liked it. Now, was it the best thing I've ever read? No. This book, at least on BookTube, people have been ranting and raving about this maybe a couple years ago or so. And it was good. It was good, but it wasn't quite as good as everybody maybe led me to believe. So, anyways, I gave Dark Matter 4 stars. So, still a really good rating. 4 stars is a good rating. I enjoyed it. Then I got into Irish Thoroughbred by Nora Roberts. So when I spun the spinner wheel, it landed on Nora Roberts, and this is the book that I chose. This is the first book in the Irish Hearts series by Nora Roberts, and I believe this may have been the first book that she ever wrote. Maybe that's kind of what I saw online about it, but who knows. This is about a woman who owned a farm in Ireland. Her aunt died, and she could no longer afford to take care of this farm on her own. So her uncle, who lives in the US in Maryland, said, hey, come out here, live with me, and you can work on the ranch that I work on. So she leaves Ireland, goes to Maryland, lives with her uncle, and starts working on this ranch. She falls in love with the owner of this ranch. And now this is a very short book. It was only like 175 pages. I found myself not really wanting to read this book because the main male character honestly is a douche. Like, he's a douche. He's very, very hot and cold. Walks up to her, kisses her, and then the next second it's a dick. Like, he totally ignores her, pays no attention to her, and then all of a sudden he's on her and like kissing her. Some things happen in this book, and it's a fake marriage. I don't love a fake marriage. They're both in love with each other, but fake married and blah, blah, and I didn't love the male main character. He was just a dick. Like, there was no reason for him to be a dick. He just was a dick. And so it was a short book. I decided to finish it. It was fine, but I will not be continuing the series. So there's that. But I gave Irish Thoroughbred 3 stars. Not terrible, still better than 50%, but did not love it. Okay, I'm gonna stoke the fire. Okay, we're almost done, guys. Only 3 books left to talk about. So if you have not yet, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more reading vlogs, yapping about books, etc. We have a good time here. The next book that I read is The Scorpion and the Night Blossom by Amelie Wen Zhao. And this is the Fairy Loot edition from sometime last year. I don't remember. Adult from February 2025. In my spinner wheel TBR, I landed on a Fairy Loot adult book, and I chose Scorpion and the Night Blossom because the pre-order for the second book is at the beginning of February. I think it's like February 12th or something. So I wanted to read this to see if I liked it enough that I would purchase the second book. Now, this is a duology, so it's just the 2 books. In this book, we are introduced to An Ying. She lives in the mortal realm. The realm of night, the dark realm, has infiltrated the mortal realm, and they have these demons who are now killing mortals. Then you also have the Kingdom of Sky, which are the immortals, and they have totally locked their borders to protect themselves. and basically left the mortals defenseless against these demons. An Ying, she lives in the mortal realm. She is trying to fight against these demons. Well, her father dies. Her mother's soul gets sucked out by one of these, or her mother's soul gets half sucked out by one of these demons. So basically it's her and her sister taking care of their mother and just trying to like trying to survive. There apparently are these trials in the immortal realm. If you win these trials, you get an immortality pill. An Ying wants to go to the immortal realm, win these trials so that she can get this pill and give it to her mother and to cure her mother. This is about her adventure along the way to, one, get to the immortal realm and to get through all of the trials, as well as this ongoing war with the Kingdom of Night. While on her way to the immortal realm, she runs into a man named Yu Chen. And at first she thinks that he is a demon, and so she attacks him. He turns out to bleed red blood, thus indicating that he's not a demon. They decide to partner up to get to this immortal realm and to pass their first trial, because the first trial is them actually getting to the immortal realm through this forest where all of these demons and creatures of the night live and prowl to try to get into the immortal realm. Her and Yu Chen are trying to get to the immortal realm. Things happen along the way. Yu Chen saves her life multiple times. Is very charming, and she is not really sure why. She's very hesitant to trust him and is wondering, why is he helping me? I am not, this alliance is not benefiting him in any way. I am not saving him. I'm just holding him back. So why on earth are we in this alliance? Why did he want this alliance? So she's very hesitant. They get into this immortal realm and they're going through these trials while An Ying is very worried about her sister and her mother back home, and some things happen, and Yu Chen is very helpful and helps her out with these things, and obviously has a crush on her and has feelings for her. She's just wondering why. Why the heck is this gorgeous man? Why does he want to be around me? Why is he helping me always? Then we are also introduced to Hao Yang, who is a captain of the Immortal Guard. He has offered to train her. The immortal lady that he serves and protects basically stood up for An Ying in one of the trials, and so because of that, it's like she put her reputation on the line to defend this girl, so now this girl has to do well, so he's offering to train her. It's all just very like, what's going on? What is everyone's motive here? It was very interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I really am interested to see what happens in the second book, so I will definitely be pre-ordering the second book. And I gave Scorpion and the Night Blossom 4.25 stars, so I enjoyed it. I listened to The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This book was good, but if you've seen the show, you don't need to read the book. There is nothing additional in the book that is not in the show. That is true for the first book. I have not read the second book yet. If you've seen the show, you know all the things. There's nothing else in this book that you find out. I was reading it and I'm like, yeah, I know that happens, blah, blah, blah. If I had read this book without watching the show, I would have enjoyed it much more, I feel like, because it would have been all new, this whole new world. What is happening in Gilead? Why are these women being treated this way? These people who are now in charge, why? Like all of this, why is all of this happening? And her going through all of these things that she's going through as a handmaid, and why it's happening and what led to it. So I knew all of this stuff from watching the show. I already knew it. If you've seen the show, you don't really need to bother with the books because the show is good. The show is awesome. That doesn't leave anything out that the book has in it. The book was fine. It was a good read. I didn't want to give it a bad rating just because I already knew what was going on, because I still enjoyed the story. So I gave The Handmaid's Tale 3.75 stars. It was not very long, so that was good. I was just a little bored with it because I already knew all of the things already. So then the last book that I finished just yesterday on the 31st of January, because today is February 1st. The last book I finished in January was Dumped for Valentine's Day by Jay Sterling. Now, this is a short novella in her Fun for the Holidays series, which there's one book for every month featured around the holiday or the season of that month. And so obviously February has Valentine's. We're introduced to our main female character who owns and runs a flower shop, and her long-term boyfriend are going out to dinner, and she thinks that he is going to propose. Well, he breaks up with her instead. And then things go from there. Now, obviously the romance in this happens very fast. It's a novella. It's only like 170 pages long or so. It's less than 4-hour audiobook. Obviously the romance happens very quickly. If you want more of my thoughts on this book, I will link my Valentine's reading vlog below. That came out last week, so go and check that video out if you want more of my thoughts on Dumped for Valentine's Day and the other Valentine's Day romances that I read during that video. I ended up giving Dumped for Valentine's 4.25 stars, which is the same star rating that I gave Kissing My Coworker, which was the first book in the series, which is centered around New Year's Eve. Those are all of the books that I read in the month of January. There are a lot of them. I thoroughly enjoyed most of these books. I did DNF quite a few. It happens. But the books that I actually read, I really, really loved, especially Alchemizing Credence. I mean, come on, come on. If you made it this far, please leave a scorpion emoji down in the comments. I hope there's a scorpion. If there's not, leave whatever emoji you want. Thank you for tuning into my video. Please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.